Hi, I'm Robert, and welcome back to My Dirty Kitchen. Tonight we're going to be prepping some tenderloins for smoking. Now, tenderloins are challenging to smoke, pork tenderloins that is, for a couple of reasons. One is they're tapered. As you can see here, right here, a tenderloin is bigger on one end than it is the other. It's really difficult to get that thing to cook evenly because of that. The other challenge is with smoking it. It takes time for smoke to permeate the meat, and these tenderloins cook so quickly that smoke just can't permeate them if you put them in just like they are. So I'm going to show you some steps on how to prepare tenderloins so that they get smoked evenly and so that they cook evenly. Okay, so we've got our tenderloins laid out here, and I'm going to cook 8 tenderloins. And the first thing we're going to do, and we've talked about this before, is wipe these tenderloins down so that they're nice and dry, so we get a nice dry rub on them. So I'm just going to take my paper towel. I always use a paper towel for this. Take my paper towel and dry these off. Now while I'm drying these off, there's a few things you need while you're getting ready to smoke these. You need your wood chips so that you can soak them overnight so that they smoke really slowly. You need your dry rub, whatever you're going to rub them with. You need some saran wrap or plastic wrap so that we can wrap these up tonight so that they marinate really well. And you need some string, some baker string, just some cotton twine, nothing with any nylon, any plastic or anything in it, just some cotton twine. And I'll show you why we need that in just a second. Okay, now so we can get these to really cook evenly, we're going to tie 2 tenderloins together. And the reason why we do that, we turn the small end against the big end and then tie them together real tight so that we have a tenderloin, 2 pieces of tenderloin that are the same consistency across. So that's really the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our 2 pieces of tenderloin like this so that we have a small end against the large end. And we're going to take this string, and I'm going to cut a length of it. Again, just a nice cotton string. I'm going to cut a length of string here to start off with so I don't have to deal with the whole roll. I have my scissors laying right here. And I'm going to tie a little knot in it here. Just a little loop. I'll need 4 of these. And I'm just going to go around one end of it, pull my cord through the loop, pull it nice and tight, and then hold the tenderloins up by one end and just kind of spiral it around them till they're pulled together tightly here. You can see that there. Alright, so I've got that one tied off nicely. I'll pull it this way a little bit so that they're even on the ends. Then I'm just going to tie that off. Hope you can see that here. Just going to tie that off with a little loop like that. Cut the little piece off there. And voila, we have a single piece of tenderloin that is consistent in size all the way across, so it'll cook evenly. See, this is really nice and consistent all the way across. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut the ends off even, and we're going to save these. We try not to throw away anything, but we're going to save these pieces of meat that we cut off because we can tenderize those and fry those up in a skillet for breakfast in the morning. So there's one. I'm going to tie off the rest of these real quickly. Okay, as you can see here, we've got the tenderloins all tied off nicely. They're all about equal in size. There's no skinny end, no fat end to get done quicker than the other. So what we're ready to do now is really just start to rub these with our dry rub. So I got to get these open. Always buy more dry rub than you think you'll need, because or mix more if you're going to mix your own, because you don't want to run out in the middle of trying to do this. So I'm just going to sprinkle these pretty heavily on the side that's standing up. Get lots of rub on there. And once we get this done, we're going to take our saran wrap. I happen to keep a big roll around because I do this quite a bit. We're going to take our saran wrap and we're going to wrap them up real tight, because we're going to deal with the second problem involved with smoking beef tenderloins. Again, they cook pretty quickly, and in order for the smoke to permeate, you need at least an hour in the smoke. More if you can stand it. These tenderloins would cook at 150, 200 degrees. They would cook in a matter of probably 30 to 40 minutes normally. But we want to extend that time out to about 2 hours. And here's how we do it. Once I get these rubbed and wrapped, see, I'm dipping the ends down in what's on the counter to get that really, that part of it rubbed too. But once we get these wrapped in saran wrap, we're going to put them in the freezer overnight. And we're going to smoke these frozen. Now, as the meat thaws under the smoke will have time to permeate the meat the way it needs to give you that little bit of smoky flavor. And at the same time, it'll thaw out while it cooks. And it'll take it 2 to 3 hours to cook. So, we solved two problems here by tying these things together and wrapping up and freezing them. Just kind of push everything out of the way. Just rub out of the way. I'm just going to pull a piece out here. And it's really good if you can set the box up here and leave the plastic attached, because what happens is when you start to tear that plastic off, it'll actually wad up on you. So if you can take your meat or whatever it is you're wrapping up to the box of saran wrap and actually wrap it like that before you tear it off, then you don't have to deal with saran wrap too badly. So there you go. So when we get up in the morning, we'll be starting the smoker up. I'm going to go ahead and drop some chips in the water here so they can be soaking. Again, it's really important to soak your wood chips in water so that they don't burn up too fast, because you want to get a nice slow smoke here. And that's our last step tonight here on My Dirty Kitchen. We're prepping this smoked pork tenderloins and garlic and cheese biscuits that I'll be sharing with my friends tomorrow afternoon and Monday. For My Dirty Kitchen, have a great night. And we're back on My Dirty Kitchen. When we left you, we were putting these fine pork tenderloins in the freezer. We had those marinated with some rub and wrapped in saran wrap so that we could really hold those juices in. And we wanted to freeze these so that they could cook slower and allow the smoke to permeate very deeply. So what I've done is I've taken these out of the freezer and I've unwrapped them. I've got them here out on the racks, ready to go in. They've been in the freezer about 12 hours, and so now we're ready to get them in there. There's a couple of other things that we need here. I have out here. So we have our water pan and we have our wood chips. Here's our wood chips there. They've been soaking overnight. And then we have water in our pan that's going to help keep the meat moist. Now the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some more of this brown sugar bourbon marinade, and I'm just going to put some of it in that water so that the flavor from the boiling water actually continues to permeate the meat with the smoke and the steam that's going to hit it. Alright, so we're just going to load this stuff up into the smoker and get started on the biscuits. We're going to start from the bottom here. Get our wood chips in. Put them in about the middle over the flame. Get our water pan loaded up. And then get our meat in there. We're going to distribute this in the smoker fairly evenly. And so now the smoker's loaded up. So we're just going to light the smoker now. There we go. And I'm going to turn this a little above medium here. I want these to cook at about 200 to 250 degrees. It'll take them about 2 hours to be done. We'll be checking with these on an instant read thermometer for about 140 degrees. And then we'll let those stand about 20 minutes. The temperature will continue to rise, but with today's pork, 140 degrees is done. Okay, now that we've got our tenderloins in the smoker and cooking there, they're going to take a couple of hours. So while we're waiting on those, we're going to go ahead and start to mix up our garlic and cheese biscuits that we're going to be frying over here on the griddle. Now, if you've seen the French toast video, you've seen this griddle before, but there's a little bit of difference here. I've actually got 4 bricks under this griddle to raise it up so the heat can escape. We're going to be closing the lid on the grill to create sort of a Dutch oven style atmosphere here, but it's also going to be frying too. So we've got some interesting things going on here with these garlic and cheese biscuits. I think you're really going to love. To make these, and I've got enough out here to make 20, but to make these, we need 4 cups of Bisquick, a cup and a half of cold water, and generally a cup of cheese. But I put extra cheese in this, so we've probably got about a cup and a half of cheese here. So I'm just going to put these in a big mixing bowl here, and start to mix this up. There's flour in here first. Put our water in, and then our cheese. Now you notice there's no garlic in here. The garlic comes later when we put it on our biscuits. We just use some granulated garlic mixed in some melted butter, and if you make about take about 3/4 pound of butter and 2 tablespoons of garlic and just brush over these, then you'll have a really good garlic and cheese biscuit. That's all that's required. There's not really any garlic mixed into the biscuit dough. And we want a good sticky dough here. We're not going to roll these out or anything. We're just going to drop about a 1/4 cup per biscuit onto the griddle once they're done. And we're going to coat the griddle with the same butter and garlic mixture that we're going to use to coat the biscuits. We're actually going to do all that right on the griddle as we cook them. So we got this mixed up. It's making a nice dough here, as you can see. And I think we need just a little more cold water. See why it's nice to have a water source in your dirty kitchen? We're just going to get that stirred up nicely there. There we go. Now it's looking right. Not too stiff, but fairly stiff. Alright. We're going to clean off the spoon here. We're going to let that stand just a minute, because as it stands there, it'll actually soak up more of the moisture there and become a little better dough. Just a minute or two, all we're going to do. Alright, so we've got our griddle heated to about 350 degrees here, and it's going to get a little warmer than that. And I want to just reiterate that to cook this, you don't really need a griddle this big. You can buy griddles about half this size from anywhere, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, to sit on top of your grill. And the only difference is is how many biscuits you can cook at one time. I think I can get all 20 of these on this griddle pretty easily, but if you have a smaller griddle, you can only cook 10 or 12 at a time, which is what most people want to cook. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a section over here, and I'm going to brush it with the butter. Now, I'm not going to brush the whole griddle with butter just yet, because it'll just sit there and burn while I'm putting biscuits out. So I'm just going to butter enough of it here to put out about a dozen biscuits, or about 6 biscuits, I'm sorry. I'm using a 1/4 cup measure here, and I just want to put about a good 1/4 cup of dough out for each biscuit. There. And I'm going to make another run of biscuits like this, but you guys won't see it on camera here. Okay, so we're cooking nicely. I'm going to grab my spatula off, set my bowl off, and my butter out of the way. And we're going to close up the lid here. And we're just going to let those cook for about 5 minutes. Okay then, our 5 minutes is almost up. I've opened the lid of the grill, and as you can see, the biscuits are rising nicely. There goes the timer. And what we're going to do is, again, we're going to start here in the middle, and we're just going to turn those. See how they're getting nice and brown on the top, on the bottoms. And the more you've got on here, the harder it is to get in them to turn them. But this just goes to show you that with the right equipment, you can cook biscuits on a grill. You don't need an oven. So once we get those turned, we want to make sure they're nice and moist. So we're going to take our garlic and butter. We're just going to pat the back sides of them. Just gingerly with a little garlic and butter mixture here. So that's really how it gets the garlic in it. Again, there's none really cooked into the dough. Alright then. And then what we're going to do is, we're just going to close the lid again. We're going to give these about another 5 minutes on our timer. And we're going to let those cook on the other side. So here we go. This side seems to get cooked slower here, and those look like they're nicely done. So if those are done, it's probably fair to say that they're all done. So we're just going to flip those over. Again, nice brown texture on the other side now. So again, we're just going to butter the other side. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera or not, but our smoker's starting to really crank out some smoke. And I've got a platter here ready to go. So we're going to start pulling these off. And there we have it. 21 fried biscuits from our griddle on our grill in my dirty kitchen. We're going to take a break right now while we cook another run of biscuits here and wait for the tenderloins to finish smoking. And we'll be back as soon as everything gets done here to show you the finished product on my dirty kitchen. And we're back on my dirty kitchen. We've cooked the tenderloins to 140 degrees internal temperature and let them stand. the temperature would have risen to about 150 degrees. And we've got them here ready to slice. We've got all our biscuits done, about 42 biscuits, and these beautiful smoked tenderloins. I don't know if you can see this really well or not, but this thing just looks beautiful. I want to show you something that you can expect to see in smoked food, but before I do that, we need to take the string off. The last thing we want anybody to get when they bite into a piece of our tenderloin is a piece of string. So we want to make sure we get all that off. We get the end off and it should just unwrap just like this, and then untie the other end. There we go. And all the string off of that one. And I'm just going to use my slicer here and slice the end off of it. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's a nice pink ring around the edge of that. That's the smoke ring. That's how far the smoke has permeated into the meat. And that's about exactly what you want. We've got about 1/8 of an inch tapered ring into that meat from where the smoke is permeated. So now we're just going to slice this up in slices big enough to fit our biscuit. I'll pull a couple of slices off here. And you can see it splits in half here where the two pieces have been pulled together, but we're just going to pull those slices back together as we put them on biscuits. So we're just going to take some of our biscuits here, slice those in half like so, pull our matching pieces of. Then we have a beautiful tenderloin biscuit. Another biscuit. Slice it open. And there we go. So that's what it's all about. Nice, beautiful tenderloin biscuit, ready to eat. And I'll be packaging these up to share with my friends. That's delicious too. Sorry. So there you have it. For My Dirty Kitchen, we've got smoked tenderloin, garlic and cheese biscuits. Have a great day. See you next time on My Dirty Kitchen.